Hello there, beloved Ascension pioneers. In this video, I would like to discuss two things. Basically, they're all connected because everything, in fact, is. But I would most likely like to discuss sacred sexuality, which I so often wanted to make a video about, but then I guess something else was, more important at that time. So, due to current unfolding and certain conversation that went on between me and this individual, and sharing of something that came yesterday, and I wanted to talk about the interconnectedness of all life. After that, I felt guided to put that in one same video because basically it's both about, both these two examples are about how our ego can still, be at place, how we still see things from a limited perspective. And I'll just start talking. So, why I was guided to make a video about this. Sacred sexuality is something that has to deal with our own most intimate embracing of our own inner sexuality, our own physical being merging with our spirit. So basically making love to ourselves while our physical body is inviting our spirit. On the other hand, then there is many of that which still, in a way, sort of wants to manipulate this true knowing. It kind of wants to, for so many individuals, to be hindered in this process, to not know about the true nature of our sacred sexuality and then sharing it with others as we continue on our ascension journey. So here was this conversation and the question I was asked today. It's really on this note. So I've got a quick question for you. If you're free and have time, what are your thoughts on polyamory? I don't know this term though. For me, it doesn't feel right, but I'm not sure if that's due to some preconceived social conditioning, my ego or my heart. Polyamory, having multiple sexual relations simultaneously, that's what it means. Here's why. I met an individual back in July. He's a meditation teacher. His spiritual depth and love of Source had built a level of trust. He then started talking about polyamory, being true oneness, and unconditional love. But again, for some reason, it doesn't resonate with me either. Thank you so much for your feedback. That basically was explained as meaning basically sex with all his students since they were all devoted to spirit. Well, here's an interesting fact. What I've noticed is not just from this individual sharing, but also in what I've heard, that there's many, for instance, tantric workshops out there that people go there and then they practice these rituals, in groups and whatever they do, then exchange partners and things like that. And there's so many of these new agey things, like I like to term them. And a lot of these people who come on this journey are thinking that this is true oneness because you get to be without shame, just freely sharing with everyone your love and your sexuality. And they think that they're on the right path of oneness because of that. Of course, they're on the right path for them. There's no doubt in that because everyone is experiencing what they choose to experience. But there's a subtle difference between this, choosing to experience whatever you wish to, or making it a general thing and a principle of oneness. In this case, this is simply not true. All those who have the eyes to see and the heart to feel will know that what this individual is doing is trying to manipulate. Especially when I heard that the individual I was talking to was a model. And I was thinking, of course, there's so many out there who use their ego to be fed by this. So what they do is, just because they teach a certain spiritual principle doesn't necessarily mean that they're wise and that they're all knowing and they really are within oneness principles, that they resonate with pure frequency, that their bodies are purified, that they're pure love. It doesn't mean that they have embodied the principles of divine love in their being. And I really encourage everyone to be discerning enough, to be aware enough, to really get to start knowing, what is true sacred sexuality and what is just not, what is just playing games of the mind, what is here as serving as trickstery, of course, feeding our ego, feeding the ego of many spiritual teachers, I will say, because whoever does that, whoever practices that, is not a spiritual teacher. And whoever is saying that you will get connected and merged with spirit through having, sexual intercourse with them, because they're open to spirit, that is just pure manipulation. And of course, it's on the path of many. like this. And I used to know one individual in my experience who was also saying that a part of his purpose here is to, sexually please many women on the planet and they become enlightened and something like that. And I'm thinking, who, are these men to think in such terms? And why they think that there's something more, that their, sexual experiencing is opening others up and activating them on a higher level of beingness. Because the truth is, the principle of oneness, how it truly is in its nature, that is the most sacred. And as divine, in divinity, everything is sacred. But the basic principle is the unity, the two creating the third. And just because we're one with all that is doesn't mean that we get to have sex, all over the place, and that means that we're fully open. At the same time, I really remember I knew this individual who said that just because they're bisexual, they're more advanced than me because I'm just heterosexual, so just oriented towards the opposite sex. And I was thinking, who has that knowing of putting the labels, these duality marks on such things, It's obviously someone who does not have a full spiritual understanding of these sacred truths. Because the most sacred truth to everyone is natural, how we were all created as divine counterparts. We have the source of all that is a triune God, or how you would call it. It has all the principles, the mother, father, and the child. And we say this, the source of all creation, the entire creation, and that which explores this creation. So you have this three. So that has nothing to do when you share your intimacy, when you're exploring, because sexuality is basically your life force energy. Is you anchor your life force energy in your partner, is there as your divine counterpart, is your divine companion who activates this with you in this process so that the third energy can be created. And if you just have sexual intercourse in a group, which you can call an orgy, it's just scattering your energy, not really being spiritually intimate. It doesn't reveal true spiritual intimacy and devotion. It just reveals a lack of full understanding. And it's just feeding these people with a bunch of excuses by saying, what, just because I'm more open to everyone, that means that you're not, because I'm the one who's expanding myself into willing to be having sexual intercourse with everyone here. It's just not the same thing as being open to your partner in all ways without any hidden agendas, just pure devotion to another through your own devotion to yourself. So there's a lot of feeding excuses here, and there's still many who do that, because those who are naive will fall for their trickstery and then will be, diluted together with their disillusions. What we have to be aware of that is that the only source of our own understanding of sacred sexuality is what flows through us. So what we need on our journey is self-empowerment. What the individual is saying here is, that doesn't resonate with me, so therefore that is right. It doesn't resonate because for some reason it is not right for them. That means there are understanding of this as something sacred you really put out there and share with your own intimate partner that you choose for this journey. Because all our interactions are just not sexual nature. We're all one. But everything, of course, when you look at sexual nature from a different point of view, which is everything is life. Everything is life energy. But that doesn't mean, it's not the same as you would jump into sack with everyone who you get to meet on your journey and then put an excuse of being expanded there. It's not the same thing, you see. So this is something that so many individuals now probably are still experiencing, although many already feel that there's something fishy going on here. And that true intimacy has nothing to do with just opening yourself up sexually to everything and everyone and then saying, this is how I experience oneness. Because how you really deeply experience oneness is when you share a journey with someone who is of most like vibration. I remember I had this coach once, and he said to me that it's so grand because he feels with me I did not have a lot of sexual partners, so to say, because I wasn't interfered with other energies. And he said that what he notices in energy with many women who come is that their energy field is somehow scattered, because what the young ones now practice often is sleepover parties, playing sleepover parties with so many different people. And he says that they're basically, because the woman receives in her womb, they receive all types of energy. And because they're not yet discerning and empowered enough through their self with the capital S, they don't know how to deal with that energy. They don't know how to protect themselves. They don't know how to purify. So they have all these energy around them, and they're not even sometimes parts that belong to them, sometimes even soul parts of someone else. So a lot of the times purification is needed here. Again, a lot of wisdom is required in this process. True intimacy starts with the two individuals who are sharing together as one, and that's how they experience oneness. You don't have to experience oneness. For instance, if I feel oneness of all life, I don't have to go travel to every part of the earth and the universe and, oh, please bring me the galactic starship, because I need to research everything if I want to feel the oneness. The path of true oneness is like, if you imagine a master sitting, under a tree like Buddha did. This is a visualization that many of you can really get into your head, is you don't see them, the need to explore everything. You just see them sitting there and already feeling oneness just at the look at one flower blooming, or just when you look at two people who love each other and they kiss and you just look at that and it's beautiful. It reflects something very amazing back at you. So oneness can be experienced with everything and everything that you do, see, notice as a neutral conscious observer. You don't have to go out and travel every land there is. You don't have to go climb every mountain peak, although I would. But you don't have to. Sometimes, even for me, it's enough to be just surrounded by the presence of the mountains. That is how true oneness is felt. The same applies here with the sacred sexuality. And a sexuality which is most often still in the lower density individuals is practiced more for the carnal matters, which have nothing to do with increasing vibration and awareness, because true sacred sexuality is about raising your frequency together with your partner in a most intimate connection and reunion. And that is what sacred sexuality is really about. So your kundalini keeps flowing through you and you're birthing creative energy, and together you can create everything which you can for the greater good in alignment with the divine will. That is what the purpose of our true sacred sexual nature is about. So same goes here with the connection to all life. I wanted to speak about how all life is intrinsically connected, and I did in a few of my previous articles. But again, I have this other example, which I will read before I share a few words on that. And I was sharing about how nature is shifting. And then I was also sharing this speech from someone who used to be a banker and then switched to animal rights spokesperson, and sharing about vegetarianism and veganism. And the speech was amazing. And I shared that speech. And then I got this comment which said, "I killed a mouse. I really felt I had no choice. I blessed it after its death. I was getting ill from the droppings in my living space. Very ill. I ignored him for months, sweeping daily droppings off my kitchen counter. I became ill when it began to get cold and I needed to close the windows. The in-floor heat was cooking blankets of poop, disgusting and embarrassing what I discovered under my kitchen sink. Literally buckets of mouse poop. She had to go. It was either kill or be killed. That said, I don't eat meat." Well, here's a wonderful conclusion from this person. But let me now say this. Do we really believe that we're limited? And sometimes people say there was no other option. Do we live in a limited universe? Do we live in a limited reality? Well, only if we limit ourselves, because that still implies that if we think so, our awareness is limited. When that person stated that there was no other choice, that was truly a huge misconception, because we always have a choice, and choices are numerous, choices are infinite. And let me ask one more question. This is what I wrote. I wrote, "Murder is not the answer, beloved one. Look within what that mess," which the person implies to, "was showing you. There is always action and reaction, and when we ignore to see the deeper meaning through things, we ignore spirit and its guidance." So do we really think that murder is the answer? Because when we do that, and in this example, if another mouse would be to come in the house, again, same results, murdering the second mouse, and then again and again, and you keep repeating, what we get is we become a mouse serial killer. I'm sorry to state it this way, but we do. Instead, what we can do is we can say, is that really the only choice I have? Do I value that life form? If you do, once you understand the intrinsic connection to all life forms, to all, the sacred relationship between everything, you will see that every animal, everything outside of nature is bringing you a message. A mouse carries its energetic frequency and template just like you do, as a part of the representative of the human species. You might look up in a certain book or oracle cards or whatever, you can see the meaning of the mouse. What the person wrote is very obvious. It said, I choose to ignore it at first. So months and months went by or whatever. I don't know how much time it went by, and there was poop and he got sick from it. Is why was there ignorance in the first place? So when we say that, it really shows that we have not seen the message. And then the message was so clear that it started to annoy us, and there were certain consequences to our own reactions, which were droppings, which made us ill. And then we, as human species, took things in our own hands, and we said we get to decide who lives and who doesn't. It's either to kill or to be killed. Well, is that awareness that will still keep us going into the new age or not? Is really that the awareness of an awakened, enlightened human being? Are those of you who are watching this video thinking of doing the same thing when you see something like that? For instance, yesterday I mentioned if someone in my building where I live in an apartment is annoying me. For instance, let's have a smoker. I don't really like smoking. It's disgusting and it's bad energy all the way through. But just because that annoys me, and if I fail to see the message in that as well, because everything holds a message, even if it's negative. You know, we live in a world of duality, so we have positives and the negatives, and in between there's neutrality. And it's the glue to all life. It's divine love. So when we can see through the realm of neutrality, which is the basic principle of divine love, is who we are in essence, we no longer fail to realize these messages. We just see things from the absolute, from the level of knowing, our inner knowing through divine love. So if I just say, okay, I hate this person, I will either, they die or I die because, the consequences of the smoking, passive smoking. Is that really so? Is our universe exclusive? Don't you see the paradox in this statement? Either kill or be killed. Are we still in the survival mode thinking? Is this the age of the new Homo Illuminus, or this the Homo sapiens, which is still controlled and manipulated through the first two, or maybe, if we're lucky, first three chakras? Well, I don't see the true awareness here, and I hope that many of you who get to watch this video will see through that as well. And every single thing you have to realize in the connection of all life is there to teach us something, is to bring us a message, is to bring us the message of respect to all life. Because if we don't, we're not going to get killed, we're not going to get eaten, we won't be left behind, we won't be, resurrected back, into a denser form of being, but we will be shown the consequences of our action. So if we choose to ignore a certain message, what will happen is the messages will repeat, even though, for example, in this case, it won't be a mouse, it might be something bigger. It might be a human being who will irritate you or something else. But you yourself on your path of raising your awareness and frequency will have to see these messages. I always say that awareness and only awareness is the key to everything. You can do all sorts of meditation. You can do whatever you want. But if you're still in the awareness when you think either to kill or be killed, and you don't see a more positive, a more constructive resolution to this example, if you don't see your own mistake in this, then you can do things better. And that mouse, for instance, is letting you know something. It's trying to show you something. And then when you see it, the whole challenge won't exist anymore because you have seen it. You have gotten the message. The mouse is just a messenger. Why kill the messenger? It's always the same. Kill the messenger. Kill the messenger. Why kill the messenger? The poor little mouse has no wording. And what was said in that video, which was shared, is let's speak for those who have no voice. Well, let's speak for all of life. Because all of life might not speak in those words that we speak. Trees don't speak like we speak, but they also speak and they whisper. And birds speak and mice speak, even though they don't have any wordings. Every part of life is to be cherished and respected, and we don't get to decide who lives and who doesn't live. All is a part of infinite creation. Remember that. And when you kill, you don't get killed, but you will be shown the consequences of your own responsibilities through choices you have made. And that is the entire truth of the connection of all life. And that is how we raise awareness, through teaching and learning. And you know what? The sad part isn't that once in your life you might have killed a mouse. The sad part is those who fail to see it, those who fail to see beyond the message, beyond the messages of all of life. Sometimes people think that just me, just humans, like I do it, are messengers. Animals are messengers, trees are messengers, grass is a messenger, the sun is the messenger. Every part of creation is a messenger to you. And if you fail to see that, you do not raise your awareness into the new. You do not become the Homo luminous. You remain the dense human being who thinks in the terms such as kill or be killed. Well, that is very limited, and our source is not an exclusive source. So love is all inclusive, love is all encompassing, and love is embracing every part of creation and understanding and seeing spirit in the mysteriousness of all the messages of how they're shown, not just through human interaction, but in all interaction, all of life, all is sacred. So please, as you move ahead on your ascension journey, think about such things. Think about all your human interactions, all your animal interactions, human to mineral, human to water, everything, and see that all life in creation is really sacred. That's all for me today. There's no judgment in this video. I just get very passionate when I speak about such things, and continue to raise your awareness, everyone. It's the only way that we really are embracing and anchoring our human luminous form in nature. That is truly what is here waiting for us as we create it every day. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.